Hi YouTube, Tim Eckert here. In this video, we're going to evaluate negative rational exponents. So let's look at this first problem. We have 121 raised to the negative 3/2 power. Now what we can do is we can make this a positive exponent if we write this as 1 over 121 to the 3/2 power. And we can go further with this. So we can break these apart and write this as 1 over, we'll do 121 to the 1/2 power raised to the 3rd power. When you have a power of a power, so the 1/2 power raised to the 3rd power, you'd multiply the powers to make them 3/2. So we can write it this way. And the 1/2 power is actually the square root of 121. The square root of 121 is 11. So this is 1 over 11 to the 3rd power. Now 11 to the 3rd power, that's 11 times 11 times 11. So 1 over 11 times 11 times 11, which is 1 over 1331. That'll be our final answer. Okay, let's try some more. In this second problem here, we're going to evaluate 625 to the negative 3/4 power. So we want to make this a positive exponent, so we're going to write this as 1 over 625 to the positive 3/4 power. And then we can break apart this into 1 over 625 to the 1/4 power cubed. Okay, the 4th root of 625 is 5. The reason being is if you take 4 5s and multiply them together, that's going to equal 625. So the 4th root of 625 is 5. So we have 1 over 5 cubed. 5 cubed is 3 5s multiplied together. So let me get this out of the way. Okay, so that's going to be 1 over 5 times 5 times 5. So that's going to be 1 over 125. All right, let's look at problem 3. This one we're going to evaluate negative 1,000,000 to the negative 5/6 power. So first off, I'm going to make the exponent positive. So we're going to bring this down to the denominator here, but we're going to notice that this is going to be a bit of a problem here. Because if we put this to the 5/6 power, this is an even root here. So in this particular case, like if we continue to break this apart, the 6th root of negative 1,000,000 is undefined. So if we're going to break this apart, this works out to be undefined. Okay, let's keep going. Now this one you might be thinking, oh, is this one undefined? And let me go back up here. So if I take an even root of a negative number, that's undefined because you can't get a negative number like when you multiply, like let's say I was going to do negative 10 to the 6th power. That's going to equal 1,000,000. Right? Not negative 1,000,000. So you can't get the 6th root of a negative number. It's undefined. It's not a real number there. Now, if you want to get into imaginary numbers, that's a different topic for a different video. But in terms of real numbers, this is undefined. All right, but this one we have negative 729 to the negative 2/3 power. So let's This one's not going to be undefined. So if we rewrite this, it's going to be 1 over, and then we'll have negative 729 to the 2/3 power, which we can further break apart into negative 729. We raise that to the 1/3 power, and then we square that. Okay, so the cube root of negative 729 is actually negative 9. So this is 1 over negative 9 squared now. So you can take an odd number root of a negative number because if you think about this, when we get negative 9 times negative 9, that gives you positive 81. That's an even number of times it's multiplied together. But if we multiply again by another negative 9, well, then it's negative 729. Okay, so anytime you multiply a negative number an odd amount of times by itself, it's going to be a negative value. And I really should rephrase that. Anytime you have a negative number, an odd amount of that, and you multiply that together, it's going to get a negative number. Hopefully that makes sense. All right, let's get rid of this stuff. Okay, and this is going to be 1 over negative 9 times negative 9. Negative times negative is going to be a positive, so my solution here is going to be 1 over 81. All right, last one. Evaluate negative 243 to the negative 4/5 power. This one, again, if we take the 5th root of negative 243, that's going to give us a negative, so that's okay. So we're going to rewrite this as 1 over negative 243 to the 4/5 power. We'll break it apart further into 1 over negative 243 to the 1/5 power, and raise that to the 4th power, because when we have a power raised to a power, we multiply the power. So this here is equivalent to 4/5. So the 5th root of negative 243 is negative 3. So we're going to have 1 over negative 3 to the 4th power. Okay. So that's 4 negative 3's multiplied together. So negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3. Because we're multiplying an even number of negative 3's together, our solution will be positive. So we're going to have 1 over positive 81 for this one as well. Hopefully you found this video helpful. If you did, please like and subscribe.